Okay, so I guess finally those live streams processed. Okay. I just listened to the first one. That was the longest. It was like 2 hours and 35 minutes. And then the second one, I was gonna start listening to, but I figured I'd put the news on and see what's going on. It kept messing up, so I know it's gonna be annoying to listen to. And then I guess there was one after that. So let me see. Doing pretty good. Just I'm having a little bit of an issue with my neck from carrying a lot of weight yesterday. Let's see. Yesterday after the walk was like really, really good. I was saying to Brian last night. I guess I'll do this first. I hope this is a commercial. I wasn't sure yesterday. I put CNN live stream on, and it seemed like a weekend. I like the hometown heroes and mentors and cooking shows, and that's Chronicle. If I'd watch Chronicle, yeah. Um, yeah, it's not like it's got to be Fox News, but I don't think Fox News really does that. They have their Fox and Friends in the morning where they briefly, it's a very short story, not hours of it. Yeah, it's like you just want to bomb it. So that's why a lot of times I don't put CNN on. Just being honest. Um, Time and a place, hometown heroes and mentors, and I think it's the same thing as hometown. Those where you nominate hometown heroes, and yeah, this is a commercial. So after the walk, and the rest of last night was like regular, sort of like feeling awesome about the camping and stuff. So trying not to constantly count down and go, it's only a week now. Trying not to do that. So yeah, rather would just keep camping with no like endpoint, like regular people, where you're not constantly under stress about where you're gonna sleep that night and stuff, and just knowing I won't be able to cook and stuff again. So, yeah, like that's a good thing to discuss about part of the brain disease and dementia from my point of view. And I'm not faulting certain people that run shelters. Like it seems where they actually believe that we are mentally incompetent. Okay. When in actuality, they are purposely preventing us from cooking our own food. Right. And then generally, what you get fed is slop. That's been explained numerous times. And then at that Father Bill's place, they're doing you a favor. They all have an attitude when the criminals, right? We're hostages. We're not prisoners. It's not even really illegal imprisonment, but yet it is. I explained the other facet of it where when you refuse to give out the Social Security and you issue this DTA cash finally, we can't leave Massachusetts or they shut off the food and the money. It's not just the money, they will literally shut off the food. And then New Mexico can't give you SNAP food because Massachusetts won't close my account. That is why I had to come back here from New Mexico. Okay, so to me, that's illegal imprisonment. It's in the United States of America. Like, why would you force me to have to stay in Massachusetts? I was in Florida. Then I can't go back to Florida. Okay, so that's all it takes is someone just flies you to Massachusetts from Florida, and now you're a Massachusetts resident and you can't leave or you don't get food. That is exactly what goes on. So, anyways, um, at the essence of it, I explained it. It's part of brain disease where only certain members of the primates get food and give food. It's complete dependence on others. Most Americans reject that concept. That is not what America is. Okay, people came here, maybe review your history, to escape that in Europe. And they came here so that they could farm and live free on land and not have an oppressor. So most Americans reject that concept, whether people think that's the right way to do it or not. Like sometimes you think a thing and you're not going to force other people to think that thing. You're just not going to. And you were either born here or you moved here knowing what the setup was, and then you keep continuously trying to destroy it when the people here don't want it destroyed. Something got into the heads where you can just, in an underhanded way, maybe because we're all dumb, you can completely take over a land piece, continue to print its money, but then not follow any of the laws and stuff here. That is what people thought they could do, and that's treason. You can't do that. That's how this nation functions. It's a government of the people, for the people, and by the people, right? That's you are the people. That's why we paid off the banks because we own the banks. That is how this government functions. The Supreme Court told you universal health care, okay, and then you still refuse to do it. Okay, so you just don't. You're a usurper. You're a treasonous. You're a usurper. You're an invader, whether you were born here or not, and you don't belong here. That means go. I hate this, and then move to Canada, move to Mexico, move to London, move to Australia. That is what you do. You don't go. I'm gonna change it all, and I'm gonna change it by looking at my insurance card and going, I don't take that. When it's universal health care. Anyway, in the beginning, in terms of if anyone ever got it in their heads that I'm somehow treasonous, you don't understand the Constitution. Okay, I told you how to do it. That's the only legal way to do it, and you didn't do it. You took money from the private sector, you took money from the Yawkey Foundation, you took money from the state of Massachusetts, okay, and then you would not issue housing in the normal fashion. You lied. You people apply, they're on a waiting list, we get a number, and then we're allotted housing. That's not what you did. Okay, and you have to have some reason why you're just getting housing vouchers like that to not pay anything. Not you just believe nobody should pay rent. Okay, so again, you did use the government to do it, not you came up with the new way, so you're guilty of treason. Um, People used to get Social Security. It's called the God money. And then they got disabled housing. And you didn't fly into rages because you didn't envy that. It's such a small income in a tiny governmental apartment, not an SRO, not a rundown thing. And no one was barring visitors, and you can't have sex in your apartment, and you've got to have your bags checked. I know people that lived in both public housing and Section 8s before all this insanity began. You didn't have to just spread your legs and you're a family. You didn't have to do that. Okay, it's called disabled housing. So, anyways, just as an FYI, because it is good that I'm kind of older and I wasn't born in like 1980 or 1990, where you don't realize or understand that even people working in a Social Security office and a DTA office look at you and go, "We never did that." I was on it. Yeah, you did do that. Yep, you just gave people it was twice a month. It was like $150 because I just got out of a hospital. Not I spread my legs and pushed out a kid and had a dependent. So yeah, you're new. You didn't even know that, and I'm not like 100 years old. Okay, so anyways, I met people that told me because I didn't know this that you don't have to have an income to get a Section 8. Someone explained it to me. Okay. So now what it is you have people that used that just to free themselves and still take governmental funds and still use a system. Some of them still work, all of that. It has nothing to do with any of the concepts of a work strike or God said not to work. It has nothing to do with either one of those things, right? I guess some people would say the degenerates. Yes. They never Exodus 20 and said, let's get rid of a system. They just wanted to take it over and then just quote unquote bring people here, give quote unquote their people all kinds of shit and steal our houses in a hatred of us all. Okay, that's fine and good. Thermonuclear weapons. I would say they've got to get to a certain point of their brain illness to realize that it's actually brain illness. And part of it is because many of them were born with reduced capacity. They were born with reduced IQ scores. Okay. And they don't believe that. Okay. So it's got to get like to the point where they're like pooping themselves. They can't remember things because mental reasoning and logic means nothing to them. Like they were born and raised to just hate everybody and have like a certain way of life, and everybody else is stuck up and square and judgmental and religious freaks and stuff like that. Not they have reduced capacity and they act like um, lower tier primates. So they do like this is some of the stuff I've learned since I became homeless, like living with people and talking to people and studying things. That apparently there's so many what would be considered mentally retarded people, which means that you're slow to learn. Okay. Um, you could say intellectually challenged, they probably don't like that either. Okay. You know, all those times where they demand that those testing things be stopped and they keep lowering the standards and lowering the standards. Okay. And then they say, I'm not mentally retarded. Okay. So it's not like a lot of people confuse like probably more like a traditional genetic factor in Down syndrome, okay, with mental retardation. You can be born mentally retarded and not have Down syndrome, so you don't have like a certain look to your face, okay. But there's other certain things, and because the standards and they get enraged and demand that you stop calling them mentally retarded when they clearly are. Okay, so part of it is this: nothing is fair. That's definitely to me reduced capacity. We'll call it that. Reduced capacity. Sometimes that can happen to a person via brain disease. Okay, and sometimes they were mildly mentally retarded and not diagnosed as such. Okay. Um, so yeah, like there's different things. You can either have like a genetic thing where or you have environmental factors that are causing it. And you can have both. Okay. I explained the thing about not breastfeeding. Many medical studies about that. The baby never gets proper brain growth because it was given formula and not breast milk. Um, Mercury injections to the brain, vaccines with pork in it that put great prions in your head, uh, spinal taps, whether you had an epidural or a spinal lumbar puncture, introduces um, certain things into the spinal and the brain cavity that wouldn't be there. Um, Lead, maybe. I'd say that that's probably few and far between. Lead poisoning, um, drug use. You could have some sort of an injury, head injury. Um, okay, some people have been exposed to radiation. Okay, but that's kind of like just recently. But yeah, all of those things contribute to having a lower intelligence. Not understanding that your system was not unfair. I would say that you were born 1971 and before that, okay. Um, just you you never sort of met people and were open to listening to like possibly via your upbringing in your social circle that were you were made to be like irrational, right? You were taught to be irrational. Okay, so birds of a feather stick together, and it's very difficult for some people, especially if you're a primate and you reduce capacity, to just ignore everything you were taught. Just the whole concepts of who you are is your birth and your upbringing. To a person who's mentally retarded, like they've got to be told all that. Like that's not just going to occur to them. Okay, so when you're in a whole quote unquote culture where that's normal thinking and it reinforces like a drug users reinforce each other. Okay, irrational thought can sometimes be reinforced by each other too. Okay, so none of us like to sort of um, fail at something. Okay, what's the back ranges? None of us like to fail at something or realize that maybe mommy and daddy have an attitude about something because um, they feel like they've got to justify their unhappiness and their failures. Okay. And just for whatever reason, sometimes the words coming out of the head are not actually true. So, say that mommy and daddy um, didn't get a good job, like they didn't go to college, they didn't get a good job, so they're poor and stuff, right? And because Al's parents were like this, by the way, and he's white. Okay, so when you start thinking that people are talking about certain colors and stuff, you're already gone. Okay, so the words coming out of the mouth are that they are happy and this and that when they clearly weren't. Okay, so right, they clearly weren't. So the words and the teaching coming out of the mouth go right into all their children's heads and affect their thinking. Okay. I think most of their children actually ignored them, by the way. They had three, and none of them followed in their footsteps. So, um, the she clearly wanted to go to college. Okay, she clearly wanted to go to college, but she also was sort of like stuck in a traditional type of thinking, which can really, be how are you going to contrast that in your life? Okay, like it didn't occur to her to not marry her high school boyfriend. Okay. Um, and then usually people do stuff like that because they really don't like their home life, but she wouldn't admit that. It's part of like the perfection about her mommy and daddy and her grandmother and stuff. Okay. So if she wanted to be an English teacher and she wanted to go to college, she shouldn't have married her out of high school, her high school boyfriend. Okay. And he was in the Air Force. So she may have thought that they were going to go that route and that they would have an apartment and this and that, and he'd be a lifer, and that clearly didn't happen. Okay. So neither one of them got higher education, and then he ended up working in a factory, and she worked. Okay. I don't believe she wanted to work. So, and then they also did a lot of shopping and stuff. They weren't good with their money. They claimed bankruptcy at least once. So then she had both of her children in quick succession when she was about 20. She had two kids like 18 months apart. So then why didn't you go back to school at that time? So she's a contradiction in terms. She didn't breastfeed, okay? She, I assume they had to have been in daycare because she worked, okay? Why not take the opportunity at that time to go back to school? It clearly wasn't the children that were making you not go back to school. Okay. The third child wasn't born until about 9 or 10 years later. So that's plenty of time to get an education and do what you actually want to do. So, say you came from that, you've got to question everything coming out of the mouth because clearly that's a contradiction. Okay. She was a very negative person. You could tell that she envied a lot of people and she wanted a different lifestyle and she was not good looking and she was morbidly obese. Um, say that you had a single parent, okay, and you, I don't know if you necessarily have to grow up within the welfare system for this one, but that's what your parent wanted, right? But yet there's a negativity about people of the opposite sex. Okay, that doesn't make sense. So you need to think like in the terms of everything you were taught to question. Okay. Um, yeah, I have no idea what they say. No, because certain people I am privy to some of their lives, and other people I'm not. Okay, so I don't know what they say at that point. Like when you're generational, um, you you push out a kid. You're not married. You push out a kid. The daddy's usually not with you, or you pretend he's not, right, to avoid DOR and all of that. Okay. So that's right there what would cause you to believe to do that. Right. If you grew up in public housing by a single parent, okay, what would cause you to engage in sex acts unmarried to the point that you're producing children? What would cause you to be doing that? Like, why didn't your parents adamantly warn you and teach you not to do that and say, look at see what happens? You don't really want to live here all your life, do you? Because there's no way they were doing that. Yeah, there's no way they were doing that. And then you've got three, four generations of it. There's no way that's the teaching. So something's going on where that's taught that you're supposed to do that. So we're just wondering, like, why? What is the words and the phrases about why? Are people that don't have children till they're married and they go to college or they go to trade school and they work? and they buy houses. Are those people evil? Like, is that were they not doing that to earn those houses? Was someone just giving them houses? Because they're not Section 8. We went over, and this is only really a one sort of ethnic group. Okay. So the quote unquote white trash that people talk about, okay, they don't get free college. So they sort of have more of a reason for their circumstance. Okay. So if you had the opportunity to go to college without paying anything since about 1963, okay, how would you end up, um, first of all, engaging in sexual intercourse unmarried? Why are you doing that? Do they ever answer when people ask them? Or do they just get mad? I couldn't imagine being in a psychologist's office because that's what therapy is. It's not intended to judge you. It's intended to get you to think about things because when you think about things in a different way, you live in a different way. So, right, like your parents clearly were not teaching you to refrain from sexual intercourse before marriage. They clearly were not teaching you that. Okay. Sometimes when people make mistakes, they won't just tell their children they made a mistake and not to do that. Some people, that's how they are. Okay. Um, there's many reasons why you shouldn't engage in sexual intercourse before you get married, and one of them is so you don't end up stuck with an insane person for the rest of your life. It's not just 18 years, the rest of your life you could be tormented by producing an offspring with an insane person that you don't want anything to do with. I would say that's the number one reason why you shouldn't engage in sexual intercourse before you're married. Okay. I think that you should consider it grotesque, okay? And it's not a judgment on anybody. You should consider it grotesque, okay? Just blame the government for it, is what I'm saying. You should consider it grotesque that if you produce a child out of wedlock, you actually get benefits by doing that because it's insane. That's why you should consider that grotesque. Like, that's a way to keep people down. Not there's some reason why you're not going to college or trade school or practicing celibacy. They can't keep you down unless they ran around raping you. Once you finally decide to close your legs, that's how they're keeping you down. Like they're completely belittling you, not they're helping you. Like what I told you about Florida, where they admitted to me that they will not house married couples. Like it's refreshing that they actually admit it because in Massachusetts, they'll still think that they're supposed to lie to you and you're all dumb. Okay. So they are telling you in Orlando that unless you produce children and their dependents, you don't get a tree. That is what they're saying. That is what they are saying. That's why I said I don't even want to know. As far as I know, that person has not produced a child, but I don't know if the person inferred that she would. But if she's in transition to become a man and have a sex change operation, how could she produce children? It only took about 6 months' time, from my point of view, from having conversations with her before she decided to go to the Ramada Inn, for her to become that much more sicker. Yes, because the people she was dealing with are very, very mentally ill. And apparently, they gave the impression that that's the proper way to act. Okay, so I don't know exactly what he just said, other than he's seeking the death penalty. We are seeking the death penalty. So, what did the person do that they're seeking the death penalty for? They'll play it again. I missed it. Well, this is important to me for a reason. Well, this is good too. I began explaining this to people after April, when I had sort of like an epiphany at the bus stop, of course, about how traumatized I am, from being screamed at about I can't be somewhere, where you're just terrified to try to be sleeping. You're just terrified that someone is going to come and scream at you like that woman did at the train, at the stairwell, because that's what they do. They have dementia and they're dangerous. Like the woman at Star Market that did it to me at the bathroom, and then I explained to you why that woman Dawn wouldn't bathe and brush her teeth. So yeah, I would think the death penalty, because it's clearly crimes against humanity. Like, say that you were told that they found these people in a house, okay? That these people had been lured to this house for housing or something, right? And then they were kept there for a certain amount of time, and then you found out that they weren't allowed to lay down to sleep. They couldn't cook their own food. They couldn't wash their hands with soap and water, and they wouldn't let them bathe and brush their teeth. What do you think should happen to those people that was doing that to people? And telling them that they will call the police on them. I forgot to look it up. I think it's called the Geneva Convention. I'll look it up after. Because unfortunately, they had to make up these rules after, in modern day, people started doing that to people. Like, that's why I said, in my opinion, you're criminally insane. No one has to say that you're doing it purposely, But when you're told repeatedly that there's a pandemic of brain disease, okay, and that you show indication signs that you could have brain disease, okay, and you refuse to stop working for a shelter, running a shelter system, renting out rooms in your house, working at the DTA office, working at Social Security, working at the transit police, working as a police officer, working for HUD. Okay. You're strapping on a yellow vest. You think it's your job to ride a bicycle around and tell homeless people they can't be there when you have no authority to be doing that, but maybe you think you do. Stuff like that. You won't stop talking to people on the streets of Cambridge that are stuck there because they're homeless. And you think that you run the streets and that they have to talk to you. Like, you don't want a cigarette, you're making up an excuse to talk to me. Okay. Panhandling is not legal in the state of Massachusetts. You completely forgot stay home and stay safe, and you don't think it applies to you still. When you start to believe that people, in particular, who tell you over and over again they have no interest in talking to you, when you begin to believe that I don't have the right not to talk to you, you're mentally ill. Like, you're better off finding some sort of social events to meet people, not they won't give us housing and that's where we get food and showers. And that means we have to talk to you because how are we going to survive? How am I going to survive? SNAP food card, DTA cash, Security, maybe buy a trailer eventually when I leave this area away from you. If I ever get housing, that's how I'm going to survive. That's how I'm going to survive. Exactly. Exacta bundle. That's how I'm going to survive. We're not doing a thing where I'm experiencing homelessness, so I have to become dependent and associate with you. There may be other people that are doing that and they want that, and that's fine. But I've told you people repeatedly I'm not doing that. I'm not homeless by choice. Okay. Um, I'm not interested in forming a community bond. I make social friends when I want to. So wherever that's coming from, in terms of like when people started doing sweeps and stuff and all that stuff, like you have got to stop going up to people in Central and Harvard and the rest of Cambridge and going, "Hey, how you doing today? How you ladies?" Like right at the shelter. "Hi, how you ladies doing tonight?" And I just sit there going 3, 2, 1 in my own head because I don't even talk to you. And then within 2 minutes of the person who does talk to you, "Hey, can you spare a cigarette?" That's the only reason you're talking to us, and the answer's already no. Uh, I went over this about the Boston Public Library too. There's a woman in Washington, D.C. giving testimony about it, and I don't know if that's how the president is telling you that he's seeking the death penalty for this type of behavior. Okay. Because generally, what follows me saying no is a rash of insults that you wanted to do anyway. That's why you're doing it. Right. Somehow you can just tell from the look on my face, I'm a uppity bitch or whatever the fuck it is that goes on in your head. And so you ask for something, you know I'm gonna say no, and then you insult me. Unfortunately, I've become very familiar with violent sex offenders, and that is what they do. Some of them just want a cigarette, apparently. I mean, really? I don't know where that concept is coming from. You go to the DTA office. First, you go to Social Security and you apply, and then you go to the DTA office and tell them you applied, and they give you $400 a month to buy your own cigarettes. Okay. So if something's going on where you're spending that money on something else, that is not my problem. That is panhandling. I said, I don't believe 90% of the time you actually want a cigarette because no females do that. One time out of 100, it might be a female. It is always a male, and I feel that you're male sex offenders, yes, because I am a female and you are a male. And for whatever reason, you think that that's an excuse to, and rather than just coming up and just hurling insults at me. Money, cigarettes, anything. I got nothing for you. That is why you have a governmental system. And you have other people, that's what they do. And then they'll give them out and go, we all got to stick together and fuck her. I've seen it happen right at the airport. Just keep that shit the fuck away from me. For real, pardon the language. Keep that fucking shit away from me. I don't care what you think of me. I'm not looking to gather a bunch of neutered male primates as my fucking friends. I'm a married woman. I have no interest in your dick or what's coming out of your mouth or your gang. Nope. I'm not a primate, and in the natural world, I would just survive here on my own. That should be clear by now. Tobacco, if I wanted it, grows at a fucking ground. It's a leaf. If I was able to do what I do, I wouldn't even smoke. I explained that too. It's out of frustration and anger and rage. So, anyways, I clearly could gather food, get water, walk, build a fucking teepee, anything I want. Anything I want. You have nothing I need or want. That's not how I make friends by someone asking me for something. I know why some people are doing it because they're actually afraid of you. I'm not. I'm 100% not afraid of you. Just know that. Now it's a commercial. So, anyway, sorry for the negativity and stuff, but when it brings up things that are, I'm sure, right, when someone says I'm seeking the death penalty, he's clearly telling you he's going to fucking kill you. Okay, that's clearly what you're being told. Like, the woman is telling him what you did to him, and so he told you in his words, he's gonna fucking kill you. That's what he said. So I guess go to a judge, shut off his Twitter account again, whatever it is. Where you have a right to harass females on the street, she said she was pistol whipped. You have the right to harass females on the street, hit people in the head with the hammer, almost murdering them. But yet, the leader of your military doesn't have a right to tell you that now he's ending your life. Go ahead, go to the judge, say that's hate speech or whatever the fuck. Like, your madness is that great. Okay. Like, everyone knows about the people with the attitude. Their whole entire life is walking around just hate, 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 hate. They don't ask you for food because clearly they're standing at your shelter that you were lucky enough to get into for 2 months, waiting supposedly to get fed. That's why I suggested, as much as they wanna help the community, to please stop doing that. I explained it, they might have not have realized it was going on. I think they did realize it was going on, but it's clearly gotten worse, okay? They show up to the shelter to harass people that are actually in the shelter, and they say they're there to get food, okay? So, there's way other ways to get food in Harvard, but to be doing that. And the only time they give out food there is when the shelter is open, so it's, just a problem. There's other places to get food, they've all got SNAP cards, most of them are thieves, and, probably half of them are in housing. They're not even homeless. You don't have to be homeless, they don't even ask them that. Like Friday Cafe, you don't have to be homeless to go there, that's another place to be careful of, about people showing up there to prey upon you. It's a fantastic thing that they're doing, and sometimes you gotta feed 14 animals to feed 1 person. You just gotta do it. Though they want social interaction and stuff, that's good, okay? Right. It's not a pickup joint. Match.com, Tinder, a nightclub, um, your employment place, your day program that you go to. What's the other places? Where those recovery centers, AA, not Friday Cafe, not MAP, not the shelter in Harvard. They literally attack people there. They will show up there. Someone told me there's a guy that spits on people. Why is he not being taken away by the police? I told you the guy laid in wait. You're not, there's a sign posted, you cannot sleep there. He slept there that night. I came out of the shelter. I would have already been gone, but I realized I left my stuff plugged in. And my phone wasn't working, so I was waiting for my friend Karen to come out so I could tell it, and then I could ask the staff to give it me my stuff because it was the day I was leaving. I saw him get up off the ground. He slept there, came out and said, "Is Brian your boyfriend?" I said, "That's my husband," and he admitted that he was the person that attempted to murder him. He laid in wait for me, and then he was verbally aggressive with me. And I can't get a restraining order because he has a right to be there because it's 7 o'clock in the morning and they don't start serving breakfast for another hour and he's not supposed to sleep there. That's why I said I wash my hands of you. Wash my hands of you. Why is he even out of jail? So anyway, apparently Donald Trump is seeking the death penalty. Not Mary is doing that. Not Brian is doing that. Not we threaten anybody, and not we have hate speech. Stay in your containment. Take your money. Take your housing. There's people out there encouraging it. Take the housing. Take the money. Stop coming around here, bothering the homeless. They're not here on purpose. Okay, they're not invading your territory. They weren't even looking for housing in Cambridge. Okay, so you need to step off. You need to step off. You're out of control. Eventually, obviously, you want to call it ICE, you want to call it the cops, whatever you want to call it that you think isn't fair. They're going to come and lock you away. It's called Bridgewater State Hospital. I know the guy did it on purpose. I explained it. Once I knew who it was, we didn't even know him. He's a complete stranger to us. Okay. I was going into the shelter. He started talking to us, asking if I was going in there, and then he starts talking to my husband going, "Oh, did you cry because I'm in the shelter and he's not?" We don't even know this person, we didn't know his name, nothing, okay? And then he tells us he's been trying to get in there for 2 years, so he's pissed that I'm in there. That is why he did it. Absolutely. He's mad that I got into the shelter he thinks is his territory. That's a very dangerous person, obviously. Okay. So I don't know what the addresses of these people were that they supposedly became homeless if they lived in Harvard, because that's where the shelter is. You lived in Harvard? That seems an expensive place where you would have been living, but I suppose it's possible. We're not the reason you're homeless. We're not the reason you can't get in the shelter. And now you're a violent criminal, so you're not getting in there. That's not something I did or my husband did to you, especially if you've got a record even before this. I mean, newsflash, yeah, they're going to judge you for that. In that particular shelter, yeah, yep. You need to go to like Pine Street or Father Bill's place and knock off the horse crap. You're not getting in the shelter. Yeah, that is like amaze balls that he would ever think he would have a chance of getting in there. Some people they got to be told. Oh yeah, sure. 20-year-old Harvard students are gonna have a shelter with someone who's taken a hammer to someone's head. No, like they don't notice the people coming out of there. None of us are like that. Nope, none of us. We're all like nerdy. Oh my God, why am I homeless like this? You're not getting in there, dude. Anyways, yes, it's a lottery, but um, it's is he sober? By the way, it's a sober shelter that people will literally not use to get in there. Okay, and then it's clearly run by Harvard students, so you can't be doing all that. Just if you saw the people that I was in the shelter with, you would just like your eyes would go like this. That a person like that would think he would get in there, or he should be in there. Right, like, you fit right in with the typical other shelters, like, you need to go to, like, the hardcore go to Woods Mullen. Yeah, just you don't have anything to fear there. Like, my friend is, like, she's gonna go to a hospital because she's, like, panic attack, like, 2 weeks before the place even closes. Okay, that's not you, we're not running around with hammers and stuff and, "Yo, get a cigarette," and good luck because someone won't give us something and stuff, like, really? We're like, "Oh my god, this is the best shelter," and it's like normal food, and then we go to sleep. That's all that goes on in there. You'd be quite bored. Right, we're drinking coffee. It's the same food. You get given the same food we get, like yeah, like, in truth, you get the same food at Friday Cafe and Map. So, it's not like we're getting something you're not getting, and it's not fair. And I think most of us have medical conditions, by the way. Okay, so it's like you're not really getting it. Yeah. I would think it's like a housing lottery, even if your number came up, right? If you've got a record like that, you tried to murder someone. You tried to murder someone and then you were harassing that person's wife at the shelter. They do. They do. In my entire life, I've had to listen to it. They literally do. They literally think that's a secret conspiracy about, and then that, oh yeah, you just go. Do 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 do. We're not doing much today, right, babe? Hi. You doing all right? Did you have coffee?
Yeah, I had one cup.
Yeah. Are you feeling all right? You bored?
Yeah.
Uh-uh. Well, I know I was saying there was like two things I wanted to do today, maybe three. I want to walk around the three loops, just not to. No, I'm not like what's going on. No, because I haven't done that yet. And then I got to get a little bit more wood, and I'm gonna take a shower and probably wash out my clothes. So that's my big plans for today. Like last night when I actually cooked the chicken, I was pretty proud of myself because I'm like I am so like sort of just relaxed, physically tired. So when I'm physically tired, I'm mentally sort of like good. I was explaining it to Brian last night. Like I really like that feeling of being physically tired. I sort of require that to be like mentally good, in a good mood, mentally calm and stuff. I really like being physically tired. Not like you're abused and someone forces you to carry 50 pounds 10 miles and, you know, nearly die in a desert. I don't mean that. Just stuff you want to do. Like you had a good day. Like I just like stretched out in the tent. Like yeah, I really miss my lifestyle where I was doing the standing, walking the 9 miles a day, and a little bit of food gathering. Yeah, like I really miss that. Just like yeah, that's a life to me. Yep. Like probably back in the day when people had their farm and they've got to like chop wood and they've got to have a thing for the outhouse and a well and they've got the animals and they got to milk the cows and they got to rake out the horse things and stuff. Yeah, just I'm sure those people every night they probably went like just like that. I don't think they were miserable. No, I think if you tried to get a bunch of primates to do that, they might be miserable, and that's when they start demanding that other people do it for them, and they have 15 children and make their children do it. Yeah, so that becomes an issue. But I think like just regular like colonial Americans and stuff, they were probably like, yeah, I had a really good day and I feel good. A day off was like really like a day off back then. I mean, what's a day off now? People just don't know what to do with themselves. They go to the mall, they walk around, they don't know what to do on a day off because they didn't do anything all week. It's just difficult to listen and view people and not to make people feel bad because clearly I'm not looking at you, so I'm not talking about you, but just we'll see. Well, because we'll talk about Al. Okay, so he's getting himself up at the crack of dawn, and he's sitting in a Yaris, my car, and he's driving it 40 minutes to the office, and he's sitting in another chair, and he's drawing stuff, and he's chit chatting with people, and he's drinking coffee, and he's secretly smoking cigarettes and lying to his wife about it, and then he's doing some more stuff on a computer, and then he does that for I don't know 10 hours because he's A type personality. And then he gets back and puts his ass right back in my Yaris and drives 40 minutes back. And then his wife has already cleaned the entire house, did all the homework, did all the laundry, cooked the children's food, and they're in bed. And then he's got to sit down and fill his face with food, take his shirt off, fall asleep at the couch, and then be woken up and go to bed and open up a drawer where he's got chocolates in it and eat that from the bed and throw your clothes on the floor and then sleep and then get up and do it again. Yeah. So he's tired on the weekend. He's so tired on the weekend that he makes everybody run around and get ready. And as we sit, and then we sit there while he gets ready and then we drive around and we look at houses or we go to a mall and we look at shit or we might go to Magic Kingdom as he runs around Magic Kingdom at a fast pace, doesn't want to go to any of the shows. He just wants to hit all the rides. Yeah. Completely manic and A type personality, as they call it. Yep. You scream at children to clean when your wife already has the place looks like a museum. But yet he's got to yell at them because that's what his parents did because his mother didn't fucking do anything, obviously. Just like Angela. I just remember going to visit my own house and my own children going, "What the fuck happened here? You people have not even been living in my house. The carpet's dirty, the toilet's disgusting. What happened to the grass? Oh, yeah. What have you people been doing? You don't work. You're here all day long." She's probably, "Oh, well, I worked." Yeah, you still have to clean your house. Yep. You still have to clean your house when you work. Yeah, amaze balls. Maze balls. And then I told you about the children's grades. They went as soon as I was forced out of there, they went down in the thing. And then when I came back, they went up again. And then they still got rid of me again. Never in a day if that ever went before a judge. I don't care what type of corporate lawyer you hired. They're just going to go, "This is ridiculous. You people are not good for these children. I don't know what is wrong with you other than greed." That's a document right there. What are you going to get rid of their school records? Maybe you will. Don't ask me about emails, person that I know isn't even my daughter on Facebook. Don't ask me about emails. Go look at your own school record. Look at your brother and sister's school records. Not I need to keep emails. Sure, obviously. Obviously, if children's grades plummet when you take their mother away from them and they're in your care, she's allowed to come back briefly. They go right back up, and then you get rid of her again. What is any judge going to say? You're not getting custody of those children. Anywho, I don't know why she's watching Brian's TikTok videos. Yeah, I don't know, but maybe she's afraid of him now and has a world of regret, and she just has curiosity about what we're doing. I don't know. I would think you'd have to make up all these fucked up things about our relationship to try to make yourself feel better at this point. I never had even a boyfriend when I was in my house with my children. Yeah, I don't have children anymore, so what my husband is doing doesn't even matter. Could be a mass murderer. He's not around my children. See how we did the right thing? No. Nope. I would think at this point, maybe for a flash, and then they make up something where they go, "Oh my God, how is this happening? Because we started a fire that now we can't put out." Isn't it kind of funny, like in a weird, like parallel history, like the Kennedy and the Lincoln assassinations, that this guy tried to get me to sign a document that isn't even legal? Isn't that weird? In case you didn't know this, um, he tried to get me to sign something that said I wouldn't get alimony or Social Security. My hand to God, to give me the money to pay for my school. That's what he tried to get me to sign, and I wouldn't sign it. He completely flipped out. He completely flipped out and said, that I tricked him into like taking the children or something. I tricked him into taking the children briefly so that I could go to school. Yep. He completely flipped out. It's like, dude, there's no way this is even legal, even if I did sign it. Oh yeah, just something within me when I ain't signing a fucking thing. And I turn to him, I go, how does it feel to be lied to? And I'm typically not like that. No, I'm typically never like that. I'm not conniving and I'm usually wicked honest. But you have to get away from a person because him and his girlfriend are gonna kill you. You just go, wait a minute, what's this? That is what happens, right? He chose when he left the house. I asked him for a divorce in 2006. He supposedly met this woman in 2009 around like the summertime on Match.com after going on dates with a couple of other people, some of which he probably would have been better matched to, but he didn't want to go out with someone who had minors because he has no interest in children. Right? He didn't want to go, and they didn't work. There was one woman he liked. I guess they kissed. I think she had like a child, and she wasn't working. She was a writer. He wouldn't go out with her because she had no income. Okay, so this woman worked full time. She was living with her parents, I'm pretty sure. Had two ex husbands, and she had two adult children, one of which was still living with her. Okay, because he couldn't maintain work or something, and he kept going back and forth between his grandparents' place and her place. And so, anyway, I figured this is good. He's finally going to divorce me. Nope, because probably she didn't want him to because of all the money he was going to have to pay out. So he told me he looked at places, and because it was cheaper to move in with her, that's what he did. But what she had him do is she had him sign a lease as a married man. There's no legal separation in Florida. Okay. As a married man, she had to move to an apartment, sign a lease, and take some of my marital furniture into it. So it's just a really bad combo, the two of them together, where talk about the devil getting in your head. And they just plotted and planned to do all this stuff and never have to pay me a penny. That's the only reason they took the children. I'm pretty sure she wanted to live in my house. And then when she couldn't live in my house anymore, okay, then it was a full attack on me. Right. When you pressure a man like that, he could murder his wife and then just go to jail. He could murder his wife and his children and go to jail because he doesn't actually care about you. Right. When you're greedy and you latch on to a man who makes that much money and owns a house, and you have nothing, you can't even afford your own apartment. Yeah, like that's dangerous right there. That's definitely dangerous right there. So I guess if you're trying to get a divorce and your spouse meets a person who has nothing like that and is uses her husband's ex husband's last name, she has really bad credit. She suggests doing weird stuff about fraud and how to. He told me the cops came to her apartment about identity fraud. So if you hear those things, you really need to be careful because your ex could be influenced and pressured by that person to just, in a desperation, get rid of you. Right? When you're asking your ex wife if your children that you've kidnapped can affix your signature on tax returns, you're really over the line. That's exactly what happened. That was in an email that I don't have to produce anymore. Facts are facts. You're flying your wife out of the state. You're sending emails about signing bankruptcy papers from another state so she can even communicate with her own children, you're guilty of kidnapping. Right. You don't want to really put a person like that in a corner. It's like that guy that was living the double life, and people began to question what he was doing, and he ended up murdering his wife, wrapping her up in a mattress, and dumping her in the dump. If you don't remember that one, so you don't want to pressure people that have told a lot of lies like that. You'll get someone killed. Yes. You get trapped in your own sort of like things that you're doing. You may have lied to your girlfriend about what your wife ever said, um, what your agreement was with her, um, why you're not divorced, stuff like that. And then the person flips out and kills you. And he might kill your children too. So that is what I was told by God. So you believe what you want to believe. I believe what I want to believe, what's logical. And God was pretty persistent about it. You don't say that you're the person yourself going, I would never kill you. You don't know what you're capable of. I'm sure that you never thought in a day that you would purposely do this to me and separate me from my own children when you were never the primary caretaker of those children and you know it. You didn't even want all those children. You married me because you didn't want your daughter, your child to grow up like that. That's what you told me in the driveway of the house that you didn't. You only married me because I was pregnant. That's what you're telling yourself now. And but yet you wouldn't divorce me, and you don't know what you're capable of at that point. Something's happened to you where a switch was flipped, and just you're sending emails saying the kids are scared and I might think about getting a job and all this stuff when you never even wanted me to work. Right. So clearly you're capable of something you don't want to believe you're capable of that Almighty God stopped you from doing. Right. Because if you feel like your girlfriend is going to leave you now too because you're not going to have any money, that could make a person murder his wife and maybe even his children because that's another bill he's got to pay. Because otherwise, his girlfriend, that looks very much like his sister, by the way, and acts like his mother, is going to leave him too. Like now you're Drew Peterson. Right. It would be great for someone like that to have a conversation with Drew Peterson and Scott Peterson about what happened to them and why they ended up killing their wife. One of them killed his wife and his own son because he was trying to have a girlfriend that was going to start questioning what he was doing. And I don't remember the man's name that killed his wife and wrapped her in the mattress because the people around him were starting to question about what he's doing for work and where all this money's coming from and stuff. Yeah, it's definitely not good to go out with a married man. It takes 90 days to get a divorce. This is the other person. Um, it's not a good idea to like go out with a man because you perceive he makes all kinds of money and he's got a big house and whatever it is he's telling you, maybe his wife has a medical condition and she's going to die, or she's this and that, and all she wants to do is travel, and that shouldn't make any sense to you, given like how did we even meet? Why do we have all those kids? Those things don't add up. He either wanted all those kids or he didn't. So how did they end up in your care? If I'm the bad person and I got pregnant and he had to marry me and this poor guy has worked and I haven't worked, then why would he end up with all the children? Other than you have set up a lie yourself that I explained yesterday, where you only got your tubes tied after two kids in your 20s because you didn't want to have kids with your ex husband. You're clearly not against divorce. You've been married and divorced twice. So just divorce them and have kids with someone you like, because you both lied to each other. Neither one of you wanted all those children. That's why you got your tubes tied, because you didn't want any more children. Because your son is a problem and he didn't go to college and he doesn't work and he's back and forth between you and your parents. So it's good you got your tubes tied. Not you go, oh, these are six minors that are all well behaved and they do good in school, and then you're going to pretend like you parented that when you didn't. And you think that he wants to maintain with his children because he thinks that matters to you, when all he wants is cheaper rent. He wants a girlfriend that works, that's his new mommy, and controls everything. That's what he wants. So you took six children away from a woman who wanted her children, and then the two of you are stuck with them. When it would have made sense that you fell in love with each other, and what would you want with six minors? You don't care about money and stuff at that point. You ride off into the sunset together. So I explained it a couple of years ago. My thought was that she can never get away from him because her he would kill.
I kill people.
No, you don't, stop it. Her he would kill. So ask a psychologist, and then you don't have to tell me I'm right. Just ask a psychologist so you don't end up killed and you don't end up killing someone. Because now he doesn't have all that money and he doesn't have that house and he's old. So if you were to leave, he's alone, and that's the last thing he wants. My sister feels it might have been her that was on Facebook pretending to be my daughter. Okay. And then my other sister is sort of naive and actually believed it was her. This is all a Facebook chat. Okay. It shouldn't have made sense, but unfortunately, what goes on in some people's minds, it shouldn't have made sense. Okay. That my daughter has a Facebook, but never comments on, like, never posts anything, and she never writes anything to me. Okay. But then all of a sudden, you're chatting with her on Facebook. Okay. And then she gives you a phone number, and then that person starts texting me, and it's nothing but a rash of insults. Then the person says something about um, the other sister. He or she refers to the other sister and doesn't even recall that's not the person that was chatting with the person online. Right. So it's clearly a person who has dementia, is what I'm saying. Okay. I don't want to say the sisters' names. Okay. We'll say sister one and sister two. Sister two is the one who was chatting with this person on Facebook. Okay. And you know all the time what's going on with Facebook, where people are pretending to be other people. They're shutting off people's Facebooks and then going into it and using it. Okay. So that person is Facebook chatting with Sister 2 and it I obtain a phone number or that person obtains my phone number through her. And then there's a text thing going on. And immediately and I didn't even tell my therapist the context of the text. My therapist immediately said she didn't believe it was my daughter. Okay. Because I'm trying to help these other people. The therapist has a brain still, and she's objective. And she knows that doesn't make any sense. And she knows all this stuff that's been happening to me, that it doesn't make sense that that would happen. Because you don't have therapists, I'm trying to help you. So, Sister One immediately says she believes it's Al's new wife. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's clearly someone with dementia. So the person texting during the insults says that, why did you even tell Sister One to talk to me and stuff? It wasn't Sister One, it was Sister Two, and the person forgot. Yeah, the person forgot who they were chatting with on Facebook while pretending to be my daughter. Then all of a sudden, that person wants to know if I still have the emails that I mentioned that Alfred sent me, where he admitted that he kidnapped my children and he threatened their lives and he wanted me to sign bankruptcy papers from Massachusetts. Why would that matter to my daughter? And just other weird stuff about, do I know how much I've messed up that person's life and all this stuff? Like really horrifying, insane insults. I'm pretty sure that the FBI and the Secret Service have the emails if that matters to anybody. Jimmy Fallon. So what's in the emails? What's in the emails? When you're married, in case you don't know this, okay, I could not just put my children in my truck and leave Florida. You cannot do that. It's called parental kidnapping. It's not the same thing when you're not married. You just can't do it. Okay. Also, I guess at that time, I didn't realize that he was going to do all this to me, and I didn't realize how dangerous he was. So I wouldn't do that. And I didn't want to separate the children from their father. Right. So I had gone back to school to be a dental assistant. And in Florida, you work for 2 years in Florida, and then you can take a test to be board certified all over the country. And then I could leave Florida. I was actively trying to get a divorce. Okay, I don't know if people thought I was just, why didn't I go right to an attorney and just put the nails to this guy? Some people would say I'm dumb because you're in the devil. You're in the devil, you're in the Satan. Right. Being morally upright is not make you dumb.
I kill people.
Shut up.
My thing's dead.
My thing's dead. I because it blinks one when it's dead. I'll just
That
switch
means
him out
it's
because I got the other one plugged in.
yeah. That means it's like beyond. It would be. If it was still charging, it would be
Let
fine.
me see what it got up to. It's at 80%, so time to charge this one.
Why didn't you tell me you had a bunch of cigarettes rolled? I rolled a bunch
Oh,
myself.
I know. I was wondering. I'm sorry, babe. I was like, I thought you thought my cigarettes were inferior. Because the first one you rolled, I was actually going to go the cigarettes in the case, but sorry. Okay, so I got to pay attention to the news. Do you want me to put 7 news on? Do you not like this one?
I'm not paying attention.
Oh, okay.
Can't really hear it.
Oh, I'll turn it up then.
You can hear it.
It's only 9:56, so I'll put a limit on myself and then I'll get dressed so we can do our walk.
What's the thing?
Um, 88% because I charged it all the way this morning. I closed it. I've been able to like close it and then fall asleep. So it's not going totally dead every night. I don't know if I care about the smiling in your mugshot. Yeah.
It makes you look like a criminal.
Um, I would think I know I this just so you know I know nothing about laws and all that, right? So this is just me, like I would think a jury maybe like if you're on trial, um, a jury might think, okay, well, you didn't feel guilty or whatever, and now your lawyer came up with the thing and stuff. Or like the judge at sentencing after you get found guilty based on, facts. Yeah. Some people would say we don't know emotional responses per se. Like sometimes people smile when they're nervous or whatever. And like you have that defiance of you don't want someone to know they got to you emotionally and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't know that really anything about this case. But yeah, obviously, when you I'm not like a law enforcement officer or stuff, so like when you seem like you have no regret about anything you're doing and you're cocky, that's not going to help you at all. But I think some people they sort of like do that when they don't actually mean it. It's like a defense mechanism, and then maybe later on. So I wouldn't always assume a person is faking remorse. Yeah, especially if you knew anything about his background and stuff. We don't know. Like, say that he came from a wicked bad life, and he's had to like put on that I'm a big Marlboro man and stuff like his whole life. Um, yeah, like I could see they might be like that because they're scared about whatever they just did, and now they're getting arrested, and all these people think you're a scumbag, so you don't have like any choice for you but to just be like, yeah, I don't give a crap and all that. And then like you're in jail and you're crying, or you're in court and you're crying, and I wouldn't say that's an act all the time. Yeah, like that the person could then sort of that facade goes away and then they are actually like they were regretful the whole time, but they just wouldn't, you know, let it be like that at the time. Yeah, I mean, if you're a cop and you're arresting people, keep that in mind. Like it's a heavy load to be doing that. Like, um, and it's easier to like say that than be the person actually doing it. Like we all have like emotional responses to things. So I would think if the guy that laid in wait for me at the shelter was remorseful, then he could write me a letter and not show up where I am ever again. or if he feels there's something I need to know or something Brian needs to know, I would suggest putting it in a letter for him and never be anywhere we are again. And that's not like a threat, like we're gonna do something to you. It's just we're afraid of you and we'd rather not talk to you. Right. You're scary to us, and we don't want to have anything, a beef to do with you, or you know, settle scores, or it's nothing like that. Yeah, I'd say we're both afraid of you because you are capable of murder, and then you became sort of emboldened. I saw your interactions with the cops. You seem extremely emboldened, and you're a smooth talker. And then you go, anybody would do this, like you seem really dangerous. Anyway, that's the end of that. Like sometimes it's difficult to just be like, I'm not afraid of it. I could kick this person's ass. It's like, it's not really the, I could kick that person's ass. Okay. But like, I'm not into doing that. It's like this person is like not interested in just having a fist fight.
Dana, thank you. Good morning. Look, it's been 57 days since Zohran Mamdani won the Democratic Party's nomination for mayor of New York City. Yet a majority of the city's Democratic Congress members, 8 out of 12, have still not endorsed the Democratic Socialists, including party leader Senator Chuck Schumer, leader Hakeem Jeffries, and Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, who is chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. Now, yesterday, both Jeffries and Clarke met with Mamdani.
Yeah, like I don't want to make up another thing because I really would like to move on from it. Yeah, I really would like to move on from it. But clearly, everyone around me wanted to know why the police never came and spoke to me or my husband. They just never intended to prosecute this person. Yeah, just they never intended to do it. So just know that. And I'm sure that goes on left and right. Whereas I've been wrapped up in something for 6 years. 6 years where I was literally attacked and I self defense punched someone in the face, not I hit her in the head with the hammer or stabbed her or shot her or strangled her. Okay. And 6 years this has been going on. I don't know who posted the man's bail. Okay. I was told he had a $10,000 bail. So they're going to pull the same crap since they never informed us about any of this man's hearings. That his witness didn't show up. Whatever. Almighty God will deal with him and the rest of you. Yeah, just, I want nothing to do with any of it.
Good morning to you guys. So, look, to me, guys, when you break this down, they're terrified. And I bet, Dana, you would jump all over this because you've been through a few campaigns in your day. I think the reason the national Democrat leaders haven't endorsed Mamdani is they're afraid that he's going to win, and they know that he's going to become one of the faces of the Democrat Party as we move towards the
Batshit insane. Yeah, like we're being thrown into a war zone, and that's World War III.
Chuck Schumer knows that in the Senate. Hakeem Jeffries knows that in the House side, and they are both New Yorkers, and they are terrified of him becoming the face of the party as the new mayor.
And that's what happens to you when you don't decide to join a community clan group in their tree.
New York City is not affordable enough. And here's a guy who said, I'm going to do something about it. And when New Yorkers, for example, hear free buses.
Just keep listening to that Watch My Shoes like you're all on methamphetamine, whatever the hell does that to your brain. Some people are permanently in that state. It's not even drug induced. Yeah, where you're like dumbing down the binder. Yeah. I'm a badass. rights and no one's doing anything and all these sadistic, fucked up
Republicans are thinking
things. And
they have to start talking about this. Adams and Cuomo are not really pushing on that issue yet. Yeah, look, I think the reason why Adams and Cuomo aren't pushing on the issue is they're just a mess. Look,
no
I mean,
interest
first we want
whatsoever
to
in my
involve
sort of
three of
humor,
them stay in the
obviously.
race. This is not
Yeah, that
complicated.
is just.
Mamdani's going to win. The math
Remember that
does not
scene
add
in
up
The
for all
Matrix when
three
they're
of
all
those
like
guys
whipping
to
their
run.
heads around and they're all gyrating
Reassuring each other's
in the
destruction
underground and
based on
stuff?
their
Yeah,
voting
just.
egos and refusals to drop out to allow Mamdani to win. And I think you're right. Look, a lot of people don't understand basic economics. And so when the government is telling you through
Like
Mamdani, hey, I'm
two
going to
girls
give
for
you something free,
every
you know,
boy,
think
but
about the
like
cost
then
of
they're
your
all on
servicing
meth
as
and
a
like drunk out of their
free
head and
asset
stuff.
from the
Yeah, it's
government.
like the
Make no
same
mistake,
thing.
somebody's paying, and it's always the taxpayer. And a lot of people
It
don't
was
trust
weird
government
then too,
employees, particularly young people. And
where you
I think
just
one of
want to
the
climb up on the
advantages of
stage and just
successful
slap all these
capitalism
Beach
is
Boys right across the
capitalism is
face.
so successful
What the
that
fuck are
people
you
think
on?
it
Two
doesn't
girls
matter.
for every boy.
And that's how
First of
you
all,
get
we're women, we're
Mamdani to
not
run.
girls, and
Now,
you're not
one other
getting
thing I'll
two
say
of us
that's
a
important
piece.
about this is billionaires are going to leave New York
Step
City
off.
when these tax rates keep going up, which means overall services are going to decline. It's
Whoever
already
wrote that
started.
shit.
It feels inevitable to me. So, Clay, if you take a look at campaign finance records from Mamdani, it shows a majority of what he's getting is actually coming from out of state. So take a look. This is between like 4 weeks in July and August. A little over 1,000 people donated, raised a little over $1 million. Over half of that came from outside of New York City. What do you make of that? Well, look, I think there is a contingent of the Democrat Party that believes Bernie Sanders should have been
Right.
the
Don't
face of the
worry,
party in
baby.
2016 and even
Seriously?
in 2020.
It's
Bernie
two girls
Sanders
for every
now, I think
boy.
certainly with
No,
the Joe
all the
Biden
rest of it, I
example,
don't even want to
is seen
hear it.
as far too old. And I think what you're going to see here happen is there's going to be a battle to figure out who the new face of the Bernie
That is
Sanders
the Beach
wing of the
Boys,
party
right,
is.
babe?
AOC probably is going to get it,
Two
but I
girls for
think
every
that
boy.
Mamdani
Is
is
that
going
the
to be
Beach
a huge
Boys or a
asset. He's
different
not
band?
eligible to run for president. If
Is
he
that
were,
Gene and
this would
Dean and
be
I'm
a
like
far
blaming the
more,
Beach Boys for it?
I think, nasty battle between AOC and Mamdani over who's going to be Bernie's heir in the far left wing of the party. Clay Travis, we cannot let an A block go by, and you as our guest without talking
I could
about
see
the
that
song of the
happening.
week, and that is Cracker Barrel.
Aren't
So
you
last
those
night,
disgusting
ESPN
people with the two girls
revamped
for
it.
every
They said
boy?
we would
No, we're
listen,
the Beach
and
Boys.
we have.
That's
A new
not us.
logo is going away, and our old timer will remain. President Trump posted this. Congratulations, Cracker Barrel.
My
On getting
bad.
your logo back to what it was. All of your fans very much appreciate it. Good luck into the future. Make lots of money, and most importantly, make your customers happy again. He's got an ability to put his finger on the pulse of what the customer wants. And in this case, I think that in all of the next year, maybe the next 3 years, there will not be a major corporate rebrand.
That could be a funny skit in some film.
I think you're very
Yeah, where they're just like
What
singing
I
it
would
and then
point
someone
out
comes
is
up and
these
they're all like,
companies have to get smarter than
you know,
hiring a lot
slapping
of
their
people
face
in New
and
York
stuff,
City
and
and
they're
LA
just
who
like,
never consume their product.
what is
Last
this or
week they
something?
had a pop-up Cracker
Two
Barrel
girls for
in the
every boy or
meatpacking
something.
district
Like,
of New York
that's
City. I mean,
not the
whoever
Beach
made that
Boys.
decision should be fired. CEO, marketing, everybody, because it's so tone deaf. Look, here's the reality. Cracker Barrel didn't like the customers it had, and it decided to design a new campaign, a marketing campaign for customers it will
I'm not
never
sure what
have.
this
It
Cracker
is a
Barrel thing
one-way
is,
ticket.
but
I am not an expert in marketing, but I do know that you never actually turn your back on the people that are your base in favor of people that are never going to like you at all in the first place. Work on the quality of the food, work on the experience in the restaurant. That's how you make a
were they
difference.
trying
Not by
to
assuming the
be
people who
funny and
made
say
the
it was
business themselves.
offensive to white
All
people
right,
or
Clay Travis,
something?
thanks.
Because it's called Cracker Barrel. I don't even know what that means. Yeah. I don't think white people care about that.
As Cook refuses to resign and says she plans to sue Trump over the firing attempt, we turn to Fox News.
Some people might have been like, how'd they come up with this name, Cracker Barrel? Like, what does that even mean? Yeah.
For cause to fire Lisa Cook. Now, President Trump believes he has cause because of allegations that Cook has lied on several mortgage applications to get favorable mortgage terms. Now, Lisa Cook has not been charged with a crime, and her
Well,
lawyer
now
said
that you have the
there's
name,
nothing
you have
wrong
to
that he
stick with
plans
it
to
because
sue
it's
over
associated
this
with your
as
food.
the search
But
continues
like,
to build
where
on
that
another
ever
open
came
spot on
from.
the Federal Reserve Board, and the Fed chairman continues
You got to
Tribune
ask
Eric
them.
Sesson says the
How old
process
is the
will
company? The
methodically
person's not
determine
still
candidates
alive. Is
for
it like
Fed chairman.
18 something?
There are 11 very strong candidates. President Trump knows some of them. Some of them he
Did
doesn't.
they
I'm
used to
going to
keep
get
crackers in
closer
a
to him
barrel or something?
after Labor Day, and there'll be some other folks around the White House who also interview them. And we will
Yeah,
have
like I
three
don't know
more
what it's called
candidates
when you
to the
open up one of
president.
those wine
So
barrels or
what else?
something. Is that
Behind
called
the scenes,
cracking or something? I
Marvin
don't
has been
know.
nominated to fill the
What do you
open
think
spot
they'd
left by Avery
crack a
Brunner
barrel? Where do you
with a
think that
term
came
ending at
from?
the end of January. Now the Senate committee hearing for
Yeah,
that
like where
will
do
be
you
next
think they
week
came up
sometime.
with that?
When it
Because
comes
it
to those
shows like a
who are term
dude
ends
with a
in 2028,
barrel, right?
and she's refusing to step down.
I know, that's what I was wondering. Is weird as it sounds, did they actually have crackers in a barrel? Or like like the wine barrels? Did they used to call that crack in a barrel or something? Did they serve booze
And with the
before?
statement from the Fed chairman, the Federal Reserve is saying
Yeah.
that the Fed chairman will follow whatever a court decides for the Lisa Cook case. President Trump yesterday saying he would do the same.
All right, Edward, thank you so much. We will pay more attention to all of it.
Huh. It's called the bung
A
bung
dramatic
hole?
rescue at sea. Crews pulling a pilot out of a
Huh.
plane that had just gone down off the
Yeah,
coast of
that
North
maybe it
Carolina
was
with
like
a ship going
worthy of
south.
crack in a barrel, like
Poll
it's a
finding over 8
restaurant.
in 10 Americans think crime is a major problem in their cities. But Democratic leaders in Chicago continue to reject President Trump's push to send in the National Guard.
I'm not saying the Democrats should say, fine, send the National Guard.
Oh,
I'm saying Democrats should have responded
that
strongly and
sounds
said, yes,
made up.
let's work together. I'll meet you in the White House. We'll see how we should reduce these murders.
Like you're in Porky's. Sounds made up.
Veteran homeowners, did you know your credit card rate
Yeah, is it
increased
called
over
cracking a
18%?
barrel when
And
you
if you
open
pay
up a
late,
barrel of?
30%.
Is it
Plus,
supposed to?
veteran
Did they
families, you
put
can use your
booze
VA
in a
cash
barrel
out
too
benefit to
back
get
in
the
the day,
VA
like to make
100 that lets you
booze? It
borrow
didn't have to be wine.
100%
Maybe it was
of your
beer.
purchase value, not just 80% like some banks. 100% means you get
I
more
would think
cash to
so.
pay
It's
off your
probably
primary
that.
credit
Let's
card
crack a
and your
barrel.
car loan. No
Get the
unappreciated
barrel
wins, just
cracking or
payday.
something. Who's gonna crack the barrel? And yeah, you're cooking food. You're having booze. It's a party or something. That's what it sounds like to me. I know. And then some people go. It's like that comedian that goes, "Why are the black olives in a can, but the green olives are in a jar and stuff like?" Yeah, they're obviously making fun of like paranoia.
My daughter is being treated for leukemia. I hope that she lives a long, great, happy life, and that she will never forget how mom and daddy love her.
I would say this, right?
This is what's
And
killing
definitely not an excuse to be an insane bigot, right? You just go. I could see like way back, like the theory is that they picked like just deranged people. It may not have been everybody on the African piece was deranged at the time, but they picked deranged people to bring them over here to decimate a people. You get what I'm saying? So if you were those people, I mean, what would your perceptions be of that?
and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right. But eventually you've got to get over it, right? You got to get over it. You got to get over it.
Diagnosed with cancer in the U.S. will not survive. Those that donate to save youth, and I hope that you will continue to give.
Right. I mean, I guess it helps to know where that's coming from, but then you've got to get over it for real and just be like,
Credit card now, and we'll
it
send you
is
this same
2000 and something. How will you, all those words and phrases people had to listen to in 2020, how the hell is that going on? Yeah, that is like some sort of an excuse for hatred, just a rage. Something's going on with you, with your brains.
Tomorrow would help. St. Jude showed us that tomorrow there's hope.
Probably like biologically because of the overpopulation.
Childhood cancer together. Please donate now.
It is unnatural to be all stuck together like that. But then when we listen to people, they're saying that is natural now. Maybe it's not those people that are doing it. Like the ones who were like went into these rages because they're like, why are we all stuck in the projects or something? I don't know, whatever that was. That's sort of normal because you're all grouped in there really close and stuff. But then on the other hand, now it's never leave us the F alone. So maybe it's different groups of people. Yeah, I mean, when I got my 4 acres of land and a house, I was fine. I wasn't going out bothering people. Nope. I wasn't looking to like I don't know, open up rooms in my house, rent them out, um, cook people's food for them, put it in their mouth. Like it's just not a thing.
This is the first product we launched.
That's why I said I wonder how many people that obtained Section 8s and got a house or were given a house, given money in a house, right? They just can't stand it and they're constantly going out and doing stuff. Like the people that moved to Claremont and then insisted a big city be built. Right. They just moved out there because it was cheaper, not they were trying to get away from a city. Just really? I never liked any of that. Nope. I kept moving further away because I wanted more and more privacy. Yeah, like we know it's sort of like a little bit irrational, but like even just camping, like you understand some of your stress in the city when you come out here and you go, oh no, someone's right next to us now. You get what I'm saying? Like you don't really like interacting with all those people. It's giving you a whole bunch of stress and you're probably not even aware of what's doing it. Whereas my friend and I sitting at Smith's before I came out here, just the sun beating on you, people everywhere, the noise, traffic noise, people talking. Like, that's why if you're going, I don't understand what is wrong with you. Okay, you're either just like, you've been in a city so long that you don't understand why you're all effed up. Like, just stop talking to me. Yeah, just stop coming up and asking me for things or, hey, how you doing? Yeah, it's too much. It is too much noise. Too many people, too much noise. It's like that part of it is actually normal, but some of you act like that's abnormal. Like you want to be lobsters on top of each other. That's how Barbara Kent is too. She never gets like that. She doesn't understand why anybody would want to live on acreage out in the middle of nowhere. She gets frightened by that. Don't forget we have soda now, babe. We have soda now. I'm gonna wrap this up in a minute and probably take my shower so I can wash out my clothes. And it has all day to dry. And President Trump says he is still talking like he is going to deploy manpower to the city of Chicago. You know, we didn't get you any breakfast foods. We should have got some Pop Tarts or something. Or something to put on the oatmeal. Yeah, that's cool. Sometimes on the cruise ships they have entertainers like this, you know. If you like this sort of thing. What do they call that? The robot?
Yeah, but that's like even more.
Yeah. There was this it was two guys. I think it might have been a Disney cruise. They had that.
It looks like he's being held up in the back, but he's not.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You can do that stuff, you just gotta practice it. That's what it is. It's like takes a lot of practice of doing it. You like dancing? No one's gonna see you out here if you want to practice. You can go in the private bathroom and look in the mirror and practice if you want. No one will know but you and God. Remember that when we were doing like where the way you could do it is you played a music video, and so you were copying their moves. Yeah, to like introduce you into being able to dance and not feel weird, not feel awkward. Yeah, because you're just copying them. I still think that's a good way to do it too. Get people out of their show. You just put on what were we doing? Watch me whip, watch me nay nay. You could do that one. Some people did Missy Elliott, I think. Yeah, I definitely still. None of that changes. That still works. That's definitely a fun thing. Or Thriller. You could do the Thriller one. Because you're not being weird. You're copying a music video. It's to help you get over feeling weird about dancing. Yeah, the fishing, the thing on Twitter. Yeah, I'm sure probably sometimes I sound obnoxious or whatever you want to term it. Yeah. Did he make his own fishing rod? I don't know. I don't know how the Kennedys did it. It's not to degrade other people. No, you just go. Because people think everything has to be perfect and precise and sportsmanlike.
Yes, and I must say, Miss Jackie, I am so sorry for the loss of your precious son. And I am also very sorry that we both belong to a city and state that could give a damn about the loss of our family members. My prayers are with you. And I got to tell you, Dana, this is one of the most difficult conversations
Yeah, I
I
got to
believe
agree
us
with
to
that.
have
That's why
because for
sometimes
most people,
people don't
to
like
talk
it
about
when other
the loss
people
of
have
a
to
family
one up
member,
them all the
especially
time.
when it seems to
Like
arrive
some
at
of
the
it is you're missing the complete point.
Lieutenant Governor and Mayor Brandon Johnson. They don't have a problem with Donald Trump. They have a problem with the truth. The truth is there are many families throughout the
Hey,
state
they
of
get a
Illinois and
kayak
Chicago that
too.
are hurting, people who are dying, families who are
Did
being
God
slaughtered,
teach them
and
how to
bloody
make it?
treasure that is being laid out in the streets bare. We must make a change, and that's why I am hopeful and prayerful that with this new potential order from President Donald Trump, that we will see change. The people of Chicago don't care about personalities. They don't care about parties. They want to see solutions, and that's
I
why
don't think
I
so because they're
encourage President
plastic.
Trump to stay
Just putting that out
worded in
there.
a way that continue to talk about Chicago, continue to talk about all-friend federal support, which can be the National Guard, the ATF, the DEA, and the FBI. Things need to change, and they need to change now.
And stuff like that. You couldn't even catch a fish with that. Again, you're missing the entire point. Yeah, now fishing is a contest, by the way, too. Fishing is a contest, a marathon's a contest. Faster ways to shell your peanuts, that's, you know, the bread machine, the dishwasher. Because then it frees up time to do other stuff, which is what?
for what's happening with us and our family members there as we put our trust in them to do their jobs and to serve, to protect, and to set an environment that's conducive to safety here. That's all we're asking. Let me ask you, Gianno, the AP says that 55% of Americans are completely or somewhat finding it acceptable to send in the National Guard. That's national number. I'm just asking to guess. What would it be in Chicago?
I think that it would be much higher than that. The truth of the matter is there's been Democratic officials like LaShawn Ford who've called for the National Guard many, many years ago. The truth of the matter is,
Yeah,
President
I
Trump
was
was
sort
one
of
that so
thinking,
much so National
I
Guard
don't know the numbers of that.
would make a tremendous difference. But
Okay,
long as
so
he's not
if
handcuffed
the
to him,
leaders
that's when
start
we start to
saying
call
that they
for the
don't
bigger
want the
role in
National
Chicago.
Guard there, then I would say that they don't have the personnel to send them there.
Which has led to the murders of
And
many
it's
people
sort
who
of
are
like
brave
just
and
know that
love
this
someone and love
city
their
is in a
country.
struggle.
All right, Jackie, there's
Um,
a picture that we put
when
up
you
of your son,
contemplate
and he's
vacations,
smiling, and
moving
I think
somewhere
he
to live,
smiled, and he was a beautiful human, and I'm sorry for your loss.
it
And
doesn't, it's
Gianno, since
not
you're
sort
there
of
with her,
like
when
a
you take her out for coffee, send me the bill, all right?
release to a bunch of criminals that they're going to take over a city now. That's not what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Jackie,
Okay.
Gianno, thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
they have other means to control people that doesn't have to put a small number of personnel's lives in danger in just the mental stress of doing it.
Continue to be out there, continue to be doing, ICE needs to continue to do its job. The Trump administration tracking down unaccompanied minors released to unvetted sponsors during Biden's time in office. The exclusive
Yes, like
details coming up next.
unfortunately, if
Plus,
only it was
unfolding
that
the
easy,
first case of
that's
school
why they have
meltdown in the U.S.
weaponry.
What you need to know to keep you
Okay.
and your family safe.
Sometimes, like I said, you can become naive and believe that if you outnumber law abiding citizens, they're helpless to you. When it only takes a button to set off a nuclear weapon.
So I won't have to scream to tell you that.
So there doesn't have to be a large number of
Tell
people
me if you can hear this.
that go, yeah, this is out of control. I usually really like to reiterate to people, especially if they're prone to violence. Sometimes they can't control themselves, so that becomes a problem, but you have to have faith in God that they'll be controlled. Um, in your furies, do you control the electric grid, the water supply, the food supply, the fuel supply? Because if you don't, when you, as a pack in particular, think that you're just going to do something that nobody can stop you from doing, when you have no ability to live somewhere without those people. So you don't, no one has to have a one on one conversation with you where you give up your manhood and you admit that as much as you could do something, you actually can't do it. Okay. No one has to know that. Just know, think about it within yourselves. When you go, all right, I'm here. You're in Washington, D.C., because I've been there twice. Look around. Do you see a grocery store? Do you see a turkey running wild? Do you see a bison running around? Is there a stream of water that looks clean enough to drink? Do you have chlorine tabs? I saw the reflecting pool. Does that look like water you could put chlorine in and you're willing to drink? Do you have outhouses, or is it right? Do you have a septic system? Um, and do you like electricity? And does it get cold? Do you like fuel in the wintertime? Okay. And then go, yeah, like all this sucks, and I would, bada, 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 boom. And then you go, yeah, I don't really want to be sitting in Washington, D.C., which is all concrete if you haven't been there. I didn't even see a grocery store. Okay, never mind animals that you can live on, other than some squirrels that seemed really stressed out. How many squirrels till they're gone in a day with no food, deliveries, and no water? Is that something that you really want? So if you know a criminal that seems out of control, even with that knowledge, then maybe focus on getting them some help, asking other people to help you with them, letting people know they seem like irrational about what they're doing, what their plans are, and stuff like that.
Apparently at Annunciation Church in the city of Minneapolis. I'm hearing from multiple law enforcement sources, including Minneapolis law enforcement
In a
sources and
sense, deal with
federal,
your own, but
that
sometimes you do
this
need
does
help,
sound to be
especially if you
significant
become
and
afraid of
serious.
those people.
They are being told that there are, quote, multiple casualties here. We don't want to talk about any numbers yet or any
Don't get
fatalities, but
to
we are
thinking
told that
that the
this sounds very
police
significant, very
can be
serious, with
overtaken
multiple casualties
somehow.
reported. And
It's not
the
about
governor of
that.
Minnesota tweeting out that this was a, quote,
Okay.
horrific act of violence.
There's
We'll
clearly
get
enough
extra details on
weaponry
what
to
happened
have
here.
things
The
going
ATF
on that you don't
posted on X
want
that they are
going on.
responding to reports of a, quote, active shooter.
People have
The FBI,
agreed
FBI
to
Executive
not
Director Dan Bongino
send
is pointing out
firing
that the
squads
FBI is en route to the scene as well.
to give out the
Multiple media
sentence for
putting reports out as
treason
well.
and crimes against
No
humanity and other
statement, no
crimes
update
that,
yet on a
by your
potential shooter.
laws,
If
do
this is
warrant the death
still
penalty.
active, if that potential shooter is down or
Okay.
still a suspect.
Because of
Still waiting
the
on those
nuclear
details, Dana,
weapons
as we know with these
and just the
mass
mayhem
shootings.
and stuff
A
that
lot of
that can
information comes
cause.
out quickly.
And
Sometimes
they
it's
don't
wrong,
want to do it.
sometimes it's erroneous.
Okay. A
But based
firing
off that
squad
law
is
enforcement
different
response,
than
some of the tweets we're seeing from
when they give the
representatives
lethal
from
injection
Minneapolis
and no one
mayors
knows who
taking
actually
executive
pushed the
officer,
right
sound like
button and
something
stuff like that. It's different.
unfortunately very horrible and significant has happened at this church in Minneapolis.
And the city of Minneapolis is reporting there is no active threat to the community at this time. And it makes me wonder about the shot that we had just beforehand of the police that were standing outside of a door.
I would think that
Maybe
the
that's
hope is
the
that
fact that maybe the shooter is contained.
eventually
But that's just
criminals
a
will
fact. That
become
is
disabled
what the
enough
city of Minneapolis is reporting.
that
We have not
it's
confirmed
not
that,
like
but
one big
we
zap
can say that that is what
like
they
you
have
would
actually
think. Like,
posted
why
on
didn't they just
X.
go
So they
zap
are
and turn us
communicating
all
that,
to
but they're
dust? I
asking
think that
that
they're
people
sort
stay
of
away
like
from the
hoping that the
area.
criminals
It's
will
on
become so
54th
disabled
Street between
that
Glendale
things
and
begin to
McClent
go
Avenue.
forward more
There
with the
you go.
transition
And just
plan.
reading some of our internal emails as we take a look at some of these different live
Right. I
shots as
explained
media
about
crews get on scene here.
things that are
Reports of people
available,
on the phone
but
crying. You can
the
see some of those
problem
on
is
the phone
once
right
they're
here.
available, it doesn't
Obviously
stop
looking
these
fairly
people
solemn.
from
Some of
attacking
these
us.
angles probably going to be, media setting up to cover this, depending on what we're looking at here. Obviously, a
And
massive
people
law
think
enforcement
something's not
response here.
fair, and
I can
then
tell
there's
you,
floods
I
of
was
people into
contacted by
things and
a
stuff, and just
Minneapolis
for no
law
reason,
enforcement source who was
because it's like
looking
Night
into
of the
the street
Living
lights and
Dead,
sirens,
where
telling us
they're ill.
what he was hearing, which was again multiple casualties reported. Again, we don't have a number. We don't know how many people. We
Like
don't
in
know anything about that, but
2008 and 2009 when we paid off the banks. Okay,
outside right now.
right.
Dana,
So
I guess
all
the
of
final
those
question in
people that
terms of the phone
continue
being
to
turned
collect
off.
debt from
But
us
still
are
saying that there's no
dangerous.
longer an active threat. People are not seeing officers running around trying to barge into the building. It does seem whatever has happened has already taken place.
And we're just back to school. They're now
Okay.
telling us, right, that there was
An
a shooting
example is
at 9:30 this morning as we reported
the
on.
house in Dedham.
No, what time?
Okay.
A couple hours.
Um,
Did they tell you that? No.
like how long it took anybody to realize they weren't
We will continue to
paying
try to find
a
this out. We have,
mortgage for you to begin entering right into the house.
active this week at the DNC meeting.
Okay. So you're dangerous. You're the people we're waiting to just become so disabled you can't do that anymore.
Of this school here that's attached to a church, an Annunciation Church.
Say that there was people in tents somewhere, like in some sort of forest, okay? And you are going, what's with the tents? And then you tell people to go take them out of the tents. Okay, you're the people that we're waiting to become so disabled that you can't do that anymore.
That this was happening here. So right now, waiting for more information. Very, very significant.
Some of you mask your uncontrollable urges as outreach.
Everything we're hearing so
Okay.
far is this appears to be a pretty serious event here. Give us your thoughts.
Well, look, we've been through so many of these, and what can you say? What can you add? All you can do right now, instead of
The second you
inundating
don't like
communities
tents
with
somewhere,
militant for a situation
yes,
that's
the
supposed
second
to
you
be
don't
that
like tents
they had
somewhere,
protocols in place for
okay,
years
you're the
past,
people.
that they had protocols to get EMS, that is the paramedics, there as soon as possible to make sure the situation is contained. What can I really say in these instances is that we just have to take
Another
it as
example,
the first
the
step.
house in High Park that was for sale, okay, a person bought it who's not homeless. They didn't buy it and live in it. They bought it and rented it to people, okay? And then the second that the man paying the rent died, I was forced out of it. I was told that person then died. That's what we're waiting for. Someone did need to live in it. That person is me. Okay, so someone did need to live in it. Not I needed to be forced out of it, and then someone else buys it or rents it and lives in it. Nope. I'm letting you know because all that stuff that you would say like, what are you talking about? You just live there without paying anything? Yes.
Yeah, so I
It
mean,
wasn't
I
somebody's
work in a
house.
school that only goes up to
Okay.
80
Number
classes.
one, it wasn't somebody's house, and I had a house that you forced me out of.
You have to say to yourself, in light of
And
some of
then
the
you
situations
refuse to
that
give
we've
me
had
alternate
over the
housing
last
because you're
few months,
criminally insane.
it's a Catholic school. Is there something else going on here? Again, we have to wait to see how it all develops. But the most important thing right now
Um,
is get the
you
message out
have
there. Let
empty
people
houses
remediate and
that people
engage
can rent for
in
vacation or
activities that
buy,
allows the police to remediate
that
and get
people
the
buy and
problem
rent out
under
rooms or
control.
make them
Certainly, this would be an
Airbnbs
advance,
because
as I
they're
said.
criminally
This group of
insane.
residents coming in, it's going to
You
be a
have
big
empty
change.
hotel
And
rooms
the commander
that
is
people are not
really
given to live in
saying
because you're
this is a
criminally
very
insane.
fast-moving thing, and
You
it has to
have
be
state park campsites that you
taken off the
refuse to
market
just let
right
people live
away.
in
This is
because you're
a problem.
criminally
And
insane.
of course, all we can just do is watching this
You
again.
have trailers, you have people with houses, trailers, and pop up
Get
things in their
what you
driveway
want
because they're
and make sure
criminally
people are
insane.
told that
Just
if
like a
EMS is
person
there,
took a
that
trailer
it can't
and
happen
put it in her
for
driveway
what's
so
going
her
on. Because
son, who could easily
we
live in
know
her house with her, it's a 4-bedroom house with an apartment, could live in it. And then I'm street homeless because they're criminally insane.
Several ambulances pointed to being called. Um, what are we from an outside perspective here? What are we able to read into the posture of the officers on the scene, knowing from some states we know that they're still on protective orders, but the rest of the orders are detained? Does that give you a sense, based on what I'm seeing top-to-bottom?
You have, just like that fair place did, they took a bank and converted it into
So the
apartments.
situation developing right now, they're saying it's contained. They're not
But
saying
yet
it's
you still
closed.
refuse to house homeless people in it.
Again,
Okay.
some of
But
the
anyway,
things, but remember,
all of those empty buildings, all that stuff, anything that has plumbing, I explained it years
it's
and
going to be
years
open
and
to
years ago.
investigation. So if you don't know, is that person acting alone? All right, you can go all the way back to something like
It
Columbine, where
has
they had
nothing to do with
many
fairness and you have to
what's
do
the correct
something that we
approach?
don't have to do. It's
Is
that
it
you're
the
criminally
CPR? No, there's
insane.
no party in. You open the door, maybe it's booby trap. Because again, we don't know who did this. We don't know why they targeted this particular location. And a lot's going on right now relative to the response. There should be protocols set up in place for something like this so that EMS knows to go to the trauma center. It's not just, sometimes you got to go to the closest hospital. Sometimes EMS, the cops, they'll make a decision right at the scene. They won't even wait for EMS. Sometimes they take the person goes in the car, and the cops will get there. They'll radio out to make sure everybody gets out of the way to get somebody who's in dire circumstances to an emergency room fast. So all those decisions are still ongoing, it looks like to me, but it does look like, from what you're saying, Bill, that at least the immediate threat seems to be mitigated.
I guess some of this is probably hopeful, like hopeful wishing. But so I'll say I'm hopeful that when enough nuclear material has been released that there's absolutely no chance of survival, that God Almighty will finally make you give everybody housing that's homeless. Not you keep immigrating here or you keep bringing your family members here and you keep deciding that everybody in your family gets their own house and these houses are 4 and 5 bedrooms and stuff, but you can't live with them and stuff. Okay, I'm hoping that eventually God Almighty puts it in your head to stop doing it. Okay, and that will happen when enough nuclear material has been released and enough free electrons that your DNA is completely destroyed and you have no chance of survival. Because you decided when I told you that if you housed me, that Almighty God would make you stop and stop your system. Okay, I think some of you went, as long as we don't house her, God's not going to make everybody stop. You're not going to be made to stop burning fuel. That's not what I'm saying. Nope. That will go on until each one of you becomes so disabled you can't drive, just like what happened with Tom Kent. Okay. I don't think your fuel's ever going to be shut off because you'd all starve to death, and then you'd really have war and stuff. You have to be able to move around and get your food and stuff. This is about the housing and the stipends. Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, let me know when you're ready to take the short walk we wanted to do. Because then I'll take a shower. I'm gonna do it in a minute or two anyway, because this is 2 hours and 12 minutes. Yesterday I went 2.5 hours, and then I shut it off. So if you want to be helpful without getting yourselves in trouble, so be careful about what sounds threatening words and stuff. Okay, you don't want to do threatening words. The hate speech is really about your social media being shut off, but don't make any threats. Okay. But just to inquire, because you're becoming sort of like quasi mediators and psychologists yourselves. Okay, we just would like you to the best. We're not like arresting you or whatever. We're not police. Or if you are police, you're not arresting them. We just would like you to explain it to us why you won't house this woman. We would just want to know like your thoughts and ideas about what has been going on since 2011 and why that you refuse to house this woman. That's all we want to know. Okay. Well, they could say that because someone that worked for the DTA office in 2023, was it, said she's not the government. And then I'm sure they probably fired her with pay at that point. Yeah, she told me on the phone she's not the government. So, right, just imagine having dementia that bad. You work for the DTA office, you're allotting emergency cash, but you're not the government. So they might tell you, I don't give out housing. I'm not housing her, and they work for HUD or they work for Dedham Housing or any of these housing authorities, or they own Penrose. Okay, and then they might go, what do you mean you just want me to give somebody an apartment? No, it was 30% of her income. She doesn't own an apartment, she's renting it from you. That's affordable housing. It's 30% of her income. Because when someone has a Section 8 or a mobile voucher, all these new words you keep coming up with, they just apply for housing. They just put in an application for your apartment. Not you legally had to give out 3 apartments at 30%. Right, you're not HUD. You're a corporation that builds apartments. I am telling you, these people, dementia is that bad. You're a company, you're a corporation that builds apartments. You're called Penrose, correct? Okay. You just say we have apartments, and then people that have governmental vouchers apply for an apartment. I'm not sure legally you can tell someone that you don't take a Section 8. Okay. So you're saying that the government let you buy a bank property, turn it into apartments in the town of Orleans, okay? And you only have to let 3 people with housing vouchers live there, where you're still getting paid their full rent from the government. That's why I said when they get caught doing this stuff, I just think that their property should be seized by the government. I don't know if it's a personnel issue. Okay. Just that's federal law. You can't tell someone they can't rent your apartment because it's a Section 8. Yeah, like absolutely, that's called discrimination. That's a guaranteed rent. Like you don't even make any sense, but that you're insane. It's a guaranteed rent. Everybody else could lose their job and not pay you. You're deranged. You want credit scores and this and that because you're deranged. You have a hatred for people that are getting governmental assistance. It's just like the health insurance and the Obama phones. Exactly. So you have a population that's out of control. So that's why you have to have the thermonuclear weapons. Okay. That's seizing your property. It's euthanizing you, and then you don't own any more property. And when you're euthanized and all of your next of kin are euthanized, then the government will take the property and give it all out to people who have no homes, and they won't even need a voucher. So that's a problem solved right there, because that's all that a military can do when laws are passed that tell you your business practices are not legal here. Right. And that the only reason you have that attitude is you have a hatred for people on governmental assistance, and that you can't do that here. Whether you like it or not, you cannot. Like I said, we don't need a credit score because the government is paying for the rent and the utilities through the voucher. Whereas a person working and has an excellent credit score could lose their job, and then you are getting no money, and you've got to evict them now. So it's obvious you're doing it out of bigotry and hatred.
That's why I do anything. Bigotry and hatred.
So do you see why you were supposed to approve every stipend? Okay. That's another thing too, because if they're asking where your income's coming from, I would start finding out if they're purposely denying people apartments because they collect Social Security. I would seize their property. I would seize their property. If I ran the United States of America, I'd seize their property. If I ran the state of Massachusetts, I would seize their property. They would be denied building permits anywhere else when you found out they were doing this, okay, or they were a landlord or whatever, and then seize their property. Well, you obviously have the right to do eminent domain because you have a crisis of homelessness. And your own citizens are under attack by the people running the shelter system. Did they try to seize a property and then the people threatened to kill you or something? Because we probably already went through all this. Okay. And so they just said, we're just going to nuke them now. We don't have a choice. And, how do we even explain to the public what's going on? That might have been what happened in 2020. Which kind of makes sense, where they were like, we're going to have to seize it through eminent domain, and then these people actually threaten to kill your leaders. Kill your leaders, kill your hostages, something. And because people don't come and put them in handcuffs, they think they're somehow getting away with it. Does it sound contradictory? Because it's not. Okay. The 19-year-old could have moved back in with her mother. Her mother lives in a house. Isn't that what they said to an adult woman with 6 minors? Why don't I just live in a room in my mother's house? Okay. Sister 2 thinks that she doesn't have to have her son in her house either. So people get ill, they get brain disease, and they don't make any sense. Her children all went and got their own apartments too. Okay, so because they work and this and that and blah 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 blah. Primates. I walk. Yes. God says in his book, it gives him no greater joy than to see that his children walk in truth. It doesn't say nothing about working. Also, for me personally, I'm supposed to be collecting alimony and child support and living in my house. Okay.
getting the people, the children reunited with their parents, like this dad is carrying his little
I
one out.
had a tree.
Look at these
Oh, oh,
sweet children
I had a
in
tree.
their uniforms, their Catholic school uniforms, their first day of
It
school
doesn't
after
matter
3 days
if
ago
I
or
kicked a
2 days
meal,
ago.
if that's what you call them,
Their lives,
out.
changed forever, of course. Thankfully, these people look like they have
I had a
their
tree
victories
and I had a clan
in
group,
the
the
trauma.
6 children.
It's something that's it's happening over and over again in these communities. I saw that little girl there, and I'm sorry the camera is moving around so much, but they're trying to get me the guys the best shot. But that little girl had her phone. She was probably one of the older children. This is a K through 8th grade type of school. Um, and now I have it here. The Annunciation Catholic School
I'm just
in
sort of viewing
Minneapolis
theater
has
right
about
now, but it's funny, isn't it? You go,
325
seriously?
students in grades
Okay.
pre-K through
So
8. You
that's
can
what
see
the
that they are
dominant does.
very, very innocent
He
age.
goes in a car and goes out and gathers money and brings it back to me. He's the dominant. It's his house and his children. The way I would explain it to you, you don't even make sense as primates. It's a self-terminating species, right? You just go, in my opinion, that they're not males. And I don't even think that the other members view them as males. That's their mother. Right. It's like a woman with an enlarged clitoris. In my opinion, like the great apes, they view that being as their mother. They probably don't think that the mother is impregnating them. They don't understand what's causing the pregnancies. It's sort of like I've seen a woman like this. It's sort of like Barbara Kent. As soon as you become pregnant, you become a real member of her family. And you don't have a husband. You just get pregnant and you live with her.
Speaking of that, let's bring in the former Boston Police Department Superintendent in Chief, and that's Dan Linsky, who is here with us in the remaining time we have in this hour before we turn it over. Get your thoughts, Dan, initially?
She was trying to get her son to learn to food gather. She didn't feel that that's what I did. She did it with Candy. I'm sorry, she did it with daughter one and daughter two and her son. I walk. She said that she didn't like me walking and carrying the foods that made her feel guilty. Yeah, no, I don't usually do that much carrying in nature, no. Like I explained, it's like a no hunter gatherer society. When would you have to carry all of that?
Dan, we have some witness sound. We want to play that for everybody here. Let's listen. K through 8, they
Oh,
started
let me
school
shut
on
this off
Monday.
because the
This was
husband
the
is
first
hungry.
day of
Oh, I
school
didn't
mass.
see there was anybody
So they
there.
have mass once a week on Wednesdays. And basically, the way that it's set up is children and staff, they sit on the right side of the church. Then parents and other visitors who are just dropping in for mass, they sit on the left side. Mass is
Yeah,
going
someone's
on. You
writing,
guys are telling
you're
me it's about to
mentally
get really
ill
funny and the mass starts in
is a
10.
pot calling the kettle black, and then why were the kids scared of you? And then another person came in that's probably like a moderator that said good morning
Okay, that is a
to
witness
let the
there.
other person
It
know
should
that
be
someone else is
eyewitness. This is
watching
something
what
that
they're
she has
writing.
heard. So we wait to get official counts on this. And Paul, in the remaining time that we have, how does the rest of the day go?
Probably, I would say something I was saying seemed to ring to truth, and the person became frightened. So the only recourse is to then try to distract from that and say upsetting things. Right.
wasn't preventable. And what I don't mean
Well,
to
maybe
hear
someone
people
else
being
can.
deceived, but
I
the
don't know if
truth
you
is
saw her
people
other
say
live
lots of
stream,
things when he's
but
making those statements.
she said that you can call her mentally ill, but give her Social Security money to live on. That it doesn't matter if she's mentally ill or not.
All right, we have this breaking news for you, Bill Melissa. Thank you for being
That doesn't explain laws being broken and stuff. That has nothing to do with alimony. Also, he wrote the kids are scared. That's threatening their lives, not they're scared of me.
Live pictures here from that city where police are at the scene of a shooting at a Catholic school in that city. Minnesota's governor said that they are investigating a horrific act of violence, and local and
The
federal
pot
officials
can be black, the
all
kettle
over
can be
this city
warm.
right now. You can see their parents too, waiting to be reunited
Right.
with their kids.
I'm
Just a
batshit
sick
insane.
moment
Give me my
to
Social
watch here.
Security money.
Elisha Husney in for Harris today, and this is the Fokker Focus. The city of
You
Minneapolis said
still
the
get
shooter is
alimony
now
when you're
contained
mentally insane, you know.
and that there is no active threat to the community any longer.
It's
Here's
not a
what he said
competency
when
hearing
you'll
for
witnesses
something.
in just a moment here.
That would make you
Describing just how
even more
tense
so
the
requiring
atmosphere is.
permanent
The
alimony to live
president
on
has
because you're
also
too
been
ill to
briefed
work.
and posted on Truth Social that he has been fully briefed on the tragic
You don't
shooting
have to
in
have children
Minneapolis,
to get
Minnesota.
alimony.
The FBI
By the way,
quickly
it has
responded, and
nothing to
they
do
are
with
on the
children.
case.
That's child
The White
support
House will
that you
continue
only
to
get till the
monitor this
children are
terrible
18,
situation
and it
for your
counts
immediate
against how much
safety.
alimony you get.
Everyone involved. And we do have that witness sound now that we want to play for you here.
So all the parents were on the left side, and so he was on the left side. So there was less than sporadic gunfire.
I guess if you try to
It looked like just a normal Sunday
gauge your
morning.
own mental health by people that you've deemed mentally insane, does that make you well mentally? Like you're on Jerry Springer or what's that guy's name? Still Steve Wilkes show?
Steve Wilkos.
Yeah. So if you can find a person who has mental health issues, does that mean you're sane?
Gunfire, there was so much of it. So it was sporadic. So it was a semi-automatic. It seemed like a rifle.
A lot of gunfire there, according to that witness. Let's go now to
I
Clark
don't
West.
know if
Scott
that
Buchanan
person has a cough
about victims.
or
Anyway, we're continuing to
achy
learn more
joints or
details
knees
about
that
this
stiffen and
disturbing
then crack or a shoulder that
first week of school
you
this
can't
week.
go like this and then it will begin to crack and come back to function. I don't know if that person has that, but they could be asked if my mental illness is causing that.
I've been briefed on a shooting at Annunciation Catholic School, and we'll continue to provide updates as we get more information. The Bureau of Criminal Apprehension and State Patrol are on scene retrieving those pictures we just showed you.
Not really. I don't really have that thing where people calling me mentally insane bothers me because I have a Social Security hearing on November 4th. If that person wants to submit paperwork to Social Security before that date about my mental health. Yeah, I would like to not be destitute anymore. Even if I wanted to stick with nature, there's year-round campgrounds. It could be feasible if my husband and I chose to live like that when both of our Social Security is approved, since he has a traumatic brain injury. Um, the one that I found, it's on sale for the winter. It's just about what they're saying a couple would make. It the maximum I think is $1,400 a month as a married couple for Social Security. It's less than single people separately, right? Because that makes sense. And it includes utilities. We would just have to maybe get enough retro money to buy a trailer, and then I don't know about how you get the trailer, right? Because we don't drive. Um, or we could move to another state where you can actually rent and live in a trailer on a piece of land. I like camping. I prefer to be camping. I don't know if there's a campground out west where you can camp all summer and I mean all winter in a tent. I don't know that, but I would look into it as soon as I had the ability to, the funding to do it. So, right, that's what you can do, I guess, because you would think you'd want to help a person that you think is mentally ill. So that's what I usually suggest. Right. It's it's Social Security. So you just, yeah, there's this woman, Mary Buchanan. I think that she's extremely mentally ill. I just wanted to like submit that to you. She has a hearing coming.